cigarettes from the store at a gas station and refused to pull over for deputies who followed him home. That's when he pulled a gun, says Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood.
One of our new deputies who transferred in from New York, 25-year-old young man, Ethan Thomas. He takes a graze wound to his face.
The deputy is being treated. The suspect, named Dempsey Hadley, ran into his garage, and shortly later the house catches fire. Hadley also told the deputies to call President Biden, as he would pardon him for everything. In Broward County, Florida, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Rite Aid banned from facial recognition tech use for 5 years over allegations a surveillance system it used incorrectly identified potential shoplifters. Panasonic has scrapped plans to build an electric vehicle battery plant in Oklahoma.
Though Panasonic didn't reveal reasons for pulling out of Oklahoma, those familiar with the situation say there were issues with locations for the factory and subsidies. Panasonic already has an EV battery plant under construction in Kansas, and it has a joint venture factory with Tesla in Nevada. The company is said to be dealing with higher than expected costs in Kansas, which made it harder to commit to building another factory. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
The IRS says it's going to waive penalty fees for people who failed to pay back taxes that total less than $100,000 a year for tax years 2020 or 2021. The agency says nearly 5 million people, businesses, and tax-exempt organizations will be eligible. It temporarily suspended mailing and automated reminders to pay overdue tax bills during the pandemic. IRS officials say the pause in automated reminders is behind the decision. I'm Lee Silasara. This is Fox News.
Welcome, everyone, to the fastest moving hour in radio. This is the Lawrence County Republican Party show. My name is Brandon Taylor. I'm the chairman of the Lawrence County Republican Party. And across the table from me is my good friend, Mr. Lawrence Sutton, who is the secretary of the Lawrence County Republican Party. Lawrence County Republican Party is a place where we're not afraid to say Merry Christmas and God bless you. Lawrence, how are you today?
Merry Christmas. That's what I say.
That may offend someone, and we're not trying to offend you, but if you are offended, just hang on. We'll probably say something you agree with in a little while.
Either that or we'll just offend you even more, and you can go on somewhere else.
Well, in the political realm, you know, we're entering the week of Christmas, and things usually die down, politically speaking. But all of a sudden, the state of Colorado has decided to pull out their copy of the Constitution and read their version of it, and actually the Supreme Court of the state of Colorado has now pushed Donald Trump off of the ballot. What do you think about that?
Well, I say that Colorado has gone left a long time ago, and the people from California that moved to Colorado is ruining Colorado. So, I mean, I hate saying it that way, but you know what? That's what happened. You know, 15, 20 years ago, people from California were moving, you know, again, to get away from the mess that California was back then. They're getting away from the high taxes, getting away from the high property cost. I mean, so they moved to Colorado. And, you know, I'm trying to remember how you say it. You know, being politically correct here.
Yeah, go for it.
So...
are you turning over a new leaf?
No, absolutely not.
I was starting to worry about you.
Well, you know, elections have consequences.
Yes, they do.
And I hate saying it this way, but a lot of people that move away from the mess, and they're trying to move away from the mess. They're not moving. You're not coming from California to Colorado or Texas or even Tennessee or without trying to escape something.
Sure.
The problem is that a lot, okay, so I mean there's people out there, we know some people out there from California that are very good, conservative, true conservative people.
Absolutely. Good friends of ours.
Yeah, good friends of ours. But to me, they're the minority. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about it today, actually, me and my family were, and I said they're like the plague, they're like locusts. If it's that bad, why would you leave and then continue voting how you've been voting? And you know, I don't want people to get upset here.
No, never. That's Lawrence's last goal, is to make you upset.
But my goal is to give you the truth. And no, it's not just my truth. It's not just my truth, because when I moved here in 2011 from Florida, Nashville wasn't that bad. As a matter of fact, I believe Nashville even had a Republican governor at the time.
Mayor,
I meant, thank you. And now Nashville is, they're on fire. People want to talk about Memphis, but Nashville's almost as bad as Memphis. And why has this happened over the last 10 years, except as people that's moved in from other places?
well, I will tell you, in my experience, and I have quite a bit of
You have
experience
a lot
in
of
Nashville.
experience. Yes, you do.
And I will tell you, my experience in Nashville is it turned blue because people from Memphis moved to Nashville. And there is a large population of people that live in Nashville right now that moved from Memphis to Nashville, and it absolutely it's turning into a Memphis situation, and slowly, unfortunately. But Memphis is a very dangerous city. I believe it may be the most dangerous city, if not one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. I believe it's right there tied with Chicago right now. So
Really?
yes, Memphis is an extremely dangerous place to be. I do have a little bit of experience there, but a lot of experience in Nashville, and I'm seeing people leave Memphis, and I'm talking young people. I'm talking 18, 19, 20. As soon as they're out of school, as soon as they're out of college, they're moving to Nashville because there's no options for them. So they're moving to the next urban area, and that's not Jackson. Jackson doesn't seem very urban. It's a small city. But if you move to Nashville, a lot of people will make that move, and they'll make that jump, that 3-hour drive. And they still feel at home because they're in Tennessee, and it's turning Nashville blue. It's absolutely happening. I know a lot of our friends, a lot of folks will say, well, people moving from other states. No, in my opinion, it's the people moving from Memphis is what's turning it blue.
Really?
Yep,
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would know more than I would, but I just know that I have seen Nashville. They have gone downhill,
They have.
and it's almost got to the point where I don't even know if I feel safe driving through Nashville anymore. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Brandon. I'm seeing these things happening, but I tell you the other thing I noticed is it's happening a lot with large cities too.
Oh, yes.
Like this area here has gotten a lot more conservative over the last 10 years.
It has.
When I moved here, I know the sheriff was a Democrat. Mm-hmm. The county executive was a Democrat. A lot of the county commissioners were Democrats. And over the last 4 to 6 years, it's changed. And I've noticed it's more conservative. So I think we're blessed, especially the people that have moved here.
Yep.
Have blessed. I look at it as a blessing. And I'll tell you the other thing I've noticed, and me and you, we've talked about this a couple of different times, and I don't know why this is. But with all the volunteering that you and I do, we don't see a lot of Lawrence County residents that were born and raised here that are out volunteering and helping out, whether it's at the community centers, whether it's at the Republican Party, but it's a lot of people that have moved here.
A lot of people that moved here are wanting to volunteer. That's absolutely the truth. I think what surprised me in moving here was seeing how communities within Lawrence County kind of stay to themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, that's been that way for generations. But now with the free movement of you jump in the car and you drive down the road 20 minutes, it's just not a big deal for me to drive 30 minutes to go somewhere. It's making our county feel a little smaller. Lawrence County is a large county. And so
it's a very large
it makes
county.
it feel a lot smaller whenever you just jump in the car and you drive to Loretto, you drive to Leoma, or vice versa.
Right.
So I think that helps. We've got nice roadways here in the state. I mean, in the county, and the state of Tennessee has got very good roads. So people they're more mobile than they used to be. But I think that's just part of something that was kind of like left over from people growing up in this area, and they being more concentrated. And you know, and a community would have small communities all over rural Tennessee, not just here, but in every small community would have a local store. There would be a post office. There would be churches, a couple of churches there, and you would see that in a lot of communities.
Right.
And you still see the remnants of that, even if that's closed in a lot of communities when you're driving down the road. But that being said, people move here now, and if they move from a state like California, they don't think anything about getting in the vehicle and driving an hour and a half to go to the store.
Right.
That just does not bother them at all.
Right.
And so for people who are local here, they won't drive 30 minutes because they're just not accustomed to it, to go to an event or to volunteer. But people from California, larger states, bigger cities, you know, people that move here from Nashville, they don't think twice about driving 30 minutes across. They actually enjoy it because it's a beautiful drive, scenic drive.
It is, and I've noticed that with me. I mean, even in Florida, you could. The town I lived in was Lakeland, and you could go from one end of Lakeland to another, and it would take you 35, 40 minutes,
Right.
to drive through Lakeland. Well, I can be in Spring Hill
Yep.
almost by then.
Right.
You know, I can be in Columbia in 30 minutes. You know, I can be in Loretto in 25 minutes.
Sure.
You know, Florence is maybe close to an hour, maybe.
And the people moving here also, when they move here, they're actually trying to integrate. I see that.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're trying to integrate. They don't know. They don't have families. You know, there are large families in Lawrence County where you have the grandparents, the parents, the grandchildren, and then you have cousins and aunts, uncles. They don't have that, so they're trying to find community, a sense of community in Lawrence County. And I think given the volunteer programs that we've been involved in, gives them that opportunity to find their community, to find ways to tap into resources that otherwise wouldn't be there. Because, you know, if they're volunteering at a community center like what we're talking about, which is a lot of what we do is community center, but also in political parties as well. I've seen people want to get involved in political parties. Well, when they move here from another state, a lot of times those political parties were so nailed shut, so nailed down. And what I mean is you just couldn't get into them. You just couldn't get involved. It was so cliquish.
Oh, it was
so
cliquish.
Here, we're very open with, come on. We're very open with, come on to the community center, come on. So I think there's these things have changed over the years. I think over the last few years we've seen a lot. COVID has changed it, and I would encourage local Lawrence County citizens, come be involved in some of this and see what's going on. We're meeting some great folks that are moving here, and some people may be opposed to the growth, and I understand that. We don't like to see change. We're human beings. We don't like change.
Right.
But unless you want to buy every farm in Lawrence County, you're not going to stop the change that's coming to this area. And it's not a Lawrence County thing. Quite honestly, it's the fact that Tennessee is an awesome state to live in, and California is not.
Right.
And so what do you expect to happen? But we do have to be active, and that's why you and I are active, and that's why I think people that are moving here from other states are active, because we've got to make sure we keep those freedoms. I love saying this, and it resonates with a lot of folks. If you don't think that it can happen here, if you don't think we can lose our freedoms here, you can put your firearm in your vehicle and get on I-40 or I-65 and drive west, or you can drive north, and eventually you'll be a felon.
Yeah, absolutely you will.
You can get on the plane. People don't know this. Some people don't fly very much.
Right.
You can get on a plane at BNA, Nashville International Airport, and fly to JFK International Airport in New York. Or you can fly to one of the airports that's on the West Coast. Okay, you can fly there. And when you get off the plane, you got on the plane, you're fine. When you get off the plane, you can be a felon when you step off that plane with firearms in certain situations.
That's
okay?
right. That's right.
So that tells you how it's coming in closer. You know, we're feeling that kind of tighten up a little bit. And so I just encourage people, hey, get involved. It is a big deal. We want you involved. We're thankful for those that move here and they're involved. And as we continue to grow, we've got to make sure that we keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on in Lawrence County and the state of Tennessee, for that matter. If we don't, it will become a situation where you have Memphis and Nashville that is spread out across the state, and Knoxville, for that matter. Knoxville's becoming, it leans to the left as well. And, of course, as we know, Hamilton County, Chattanooga, it has a tendency to lean to the left as well. So we're seeing the big cities. This is happening.
But I mean, they haven't leaned to the left so hard where, you know, we have Glenn Jacobs, who is the county executive there in Knox County,
correct.
and he is a Republican.
He is. He's a conservative guy.
Yeah, he's fairly conservative. Not as conservative as I'd like him to be, but we can live with him.
All right. I'll tell him you're going to whip him next time you see him.
Well, if I had to, I had to.
I'm telling you. I'll let you. If I have to let
that's
you,
a
I'll
big
let you.
dude. That's a big dude.
It's one more of a man.
Yeah. Yeah, if people don't understand, we have actually met Glenn Jacobs, and Glenn Jacobs goes by the name of Kane in WWE. And yes, that man is as big in person as what he was on TV.
Yeah, he's I think 7 feet tall and about 310 pounds or something like that. So
he's
about where he checks
more
in at.
he's more than 300 pounds.
Yeah, but
he's probably
super
close
great
to
guy.
4.
He's actually an awesome, great guy. He was here last year
Yeah.
at our Reagan Day dinner for the Republican Party.
Yep.
That was in July of last year, and had a great time with him. He was our keynote speaker.
Mm-hmm.
So had a chance to meet him, and he is conservative, but we are seeing these things across the state that are taking place. But so I want to touch on this. Where do you think this is going? How do you think this is going to play out with Trump being actually kicked off the ballot in the state of Colorado?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of states, and I don't know if Colorado is one of them, but I do know that there are some states like Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, that I'll just tell you, I don't trust their election process.
Okay.
I've seen too much in the past that tells me that how they handle their elections is not to be trusted. And I'm not so sure if Colorado's not in the same boat. We might be, I shouldn't say we, I might be labeling people and they don't get it fairly because maybe their vote hasn't been counted or there's been too many votes counted. I'm sorry, but when we had some counties, and this is fact, you can go look it up, but we had counties in Pennsylvania, we had counties in Wisconsin, we had counties in Michigan where the vote count was more than 100% of the eligible voters. And when you have that, and you're telling me that this is the most fairest election and the most, this election had no fraud, it was the most fraud-free election of all time, here's the problem. The problem is that most people, when they start telling me and I start hearing these things,
Sure.
is the one that cries wolf is normally the wolf. And what I mean by that is that these people are just saying these things. Even after the election, even before people were being accused of something, they were already sitting there and saying, oh, this is the most secure election in history. So I'm just telling you, I'm kind of jaded, and I don't trust what I'm hearing, and I'm not even sure I trust what I see.
Okay. Well, I will tell you, for me, we are looking more and more communist all the time.
We are.
And when we are having the Supreme Court making these decisions, we hear them talking about democracy,
We're
and then you have a
republic.
court. Well, yeah, but that's what they cry, the left cries, democracy
Right.
all the time. But then you have a court system deciding the ballots.
Right.
Then you have the FBI, the CIA working behind the scenes, the ATF working behind the scenes to actually make political opponents actual felons and create situations.
You mean like with the
where-
January 6 people?
January 6th situation is terrible, what has happened with them. And I say it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
We had something happen here back about a month or so ago where we had people scaling the fence of the White House and running towards the White House, and people were stopped.
Yep.
Just like in January 6. But I don't hear of anybody that was arrested doing that
That's right.
because they were protesting for Palestine.
That's right. Well, in China, you don't speak out against the government.
Right.
You don't do that.
No.
And there
You
are
go missing.
There are no political opponents
Yeah.
in China. They're just too scared to run.
Right.
They won't put their name on a ballot. And what we are watching, I believe, in the United States, and I'm seeing good people, and I think even good people, even on local level, become intimidated to run because they're afraid they're going to become a target.
Absolutely.
I think that's happening and I'm not talking about necessarily Lawrence County. I'm going to be very clear. I'm not talking about our officials here, but even in talking to people about running for school board and things, I've seen people that would make great candidates to go on a ballot to run for school board, And you could tell they didn't want, they use little statements like, well, I don't want to open that can of worms, or I don't want to put my family through that.
Right.
Put your family through that. Go to 2 meetings per month and make decisions that's good for our school systems. And we relate to that as we're going to put our family through something.
Right.
So for me, I see these things happening, and I see what's going on with Trump, and I don't want our citizens, and I don't want mine and your neighbors, our friends, and other citizens of the state of Tennessee to become intimidated. We should never become intimidated to get in there and get active. You and I live this, okay? We live in this world.
We do. But you know what? I remember watching a lot of the 2022 elections. Mm-hmm. And I will say, for some people, it was pretty harrowing. It may not have had to been, but I watched families being affected just on the elections themselves,
sure.
even. So I can kind of see that. That's one reason I could never run for political office, because I'm just not going to put up with it. God just didn't build me that way. So,
I thought you were going to run for governor next time.
Yeah, okay, right. Right. Nobody would vote for me.
Chris Morris would vote for you.
Yeah, you might even vote for me, but
I would vote for you.
But I'm not going to get that many votes, because I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel.
Sure.
And it's kind of what Trump has done. That's where Trump's gotten in trouble a lot with people, because they said, "Oh, I just don't like why he goes on and tweets so much, or why did he say this?" But the problem is that I would say 90% of the stuff that Trump said, I agreed with, and if I was in that position, I probably would have said it as well. And I don't think people don't like that anymore. They don't like confrontation. Well, I got news for you. If you cannot deal with confrontation, then just go in your house, go get in your little safe place or safe space or whatever it's called, and just let the world go by. But a lot of times, people, even in politics, Brandon, is they look at politics and they go, I'm not interested in politics. I hate politics. And me and you are those guys.
I hate politics as well.
But here's the problem. Just because you're not interested in politics doesn't mean that politics isn't interested in you.
That's 100% true.
And I'll give you a perfect example of this. Is we had Scott Desjardins on the radio on Monday.
Okay.
Scott Desjardins, we were talking about the National Defense Authorization Act, who Scott Desjardins in 2012, when it first came up under the Obama administration, was totally against it. But what the National Defense Authorization did was this, is it gave our military police powers. And then it also gave the police and the military the ability to arrest American citizens and put them in jail and not even charge them or put them on trial. Does it kind of sound familiar with what's going on with our January 6 people right now? Because they're being charged under terrorists. Why do you think they keep saying they're terrorists? They're terrorists. They're terrorists. Well, that's what the National Defense Authorization Act did. And I asked Scott Desjardins point blank. He's talking about the FISA and that, they had to take FISA and extend it for another 3 or 4 months. I'm like, when are we going to get rid of given our military police powers, and when are we going to take American citizens and not treat them as foreign combatant terrorists? He wouldn't answer the question.
Well, and I will tell you right now, in the foreseeable future, that's not going to happen.
It's not. And
it's not even being talked about.
And see, that's the problem. That's sad.
Yep.
Because anybody that voted for that, anybody that voted for it, and by the way, Lamar Alexander and Bill Frist both voted for that. Anybody that votes for that, to me, is a traitor to this country, and they have no business holding office. Now, with that said, I've convoluted everything you asked about Trump. I've made it clear I'm not the biggest Trump fan. I think Trump did a lot of things wrong during COVID. And I don't mind people making mistakes, but when you keep doubling down on your mistakes and not owning that you were fooled and that you were wrong, I'm having a tough time voting for him. Now, am I going to eventually vote for him if it's between him and Biden? Absolutely. I'm going to. Okay.
So are you going to get rid of your Biden shirt? I got to have some fun with this, Lawrence, while we're talking about it.
Dude, I know my face just turned red.
I'll tell you what I think's fixed to happen. I think you're going to see a lot of people that voted for Biden in the last election that would openly tell you they voted for Biden. They're going to vote for Trump in this election. And I think Trump's going to become the nominee, okay?
Yeah.
And I think even his opponents see it. I think even the court system sees it. And every person that can stand up and be an obstruction and try to stop that from happening, they're going to try to do it. And I believe this: if the man had done something that was really wrong, I mean,
He'd done been in jail. He'd done been in jail.
Yes, absolutely, because they have searched him from one end to the other. I mean, it has been from his businesses to everything. He's had to lay his life out to do this.
That's right.
And it's amazing. To
And
me
he didn't
how
have
many
to do
people-
this. That's what people don't
Right.
understand. This is not something that he wanted to do even.
Right. And so what I want to encourage people on right now, and we're getting into election cycle. And I've talked about this once before. I haven't talked about it in a while.
Yeah.
But I want to hit this topic real quick, and then we'll move on. There's a difference between what people practice and what they promote.
Right.
So the left always wants to come in with a Republican and say, oh, they don't practice this. I mean, they attack Scott Desjardins that way.
That's correct.
And what you practice, they're relentless. But you know what I look at with Scott Desjardins is, look at his voting record.
That's what I look at.
This man's very conservative. Look at what he promotes. And we do that as human. I mean, look, if you walked around and checked everything I said, check my character, you know what? I hope that I'm a pretty upstanding guy. But there are days when my attitude is bad.
Right.
There are days when I say things I shouldn't have said. There are days when I have to go back and apologize. There are days when I don't apologize and I shouldn't, and I should have. Okay? I'm just being honest, okay?
It's okay. I accept your apology, Brandon.
I will never apologize to you. I mean, and your forehead's so bright, it's got to wear shades. That's my favorite song. But there's a difference in what a person practices and promotes. And so they attack Trump on what he practiced because, you know what, he's made some serious mistakes, okay? He's made some serious mistakes, and he'll tell you that. But my wife said something the other day, and she made a good point. She's like, look how close he is with his kids.
You know,
look at the relationship in their family.
That's the thing that I see, too.
Even through a broken home, even the fact that they've gone through all the business decisions he's done, he's been on all kinds of business ventures from television pay-per-view all the way to construction projects in New York City. He's done a lot of different things. And you look at the different things he's done, and look, I'm not a huge Trump supporter. As a matter of fact, I think I've got one hat that says Trump on it, and someone gave that hat to me.
Right.
Now, I do have a Trump face mask, and we wore that, and we've had some fun with a Trump stand-up cutout.
Right.
But, I mean, we're talking, let's be real about a politician for just a minute. I think we get too superficial with politicians.
Well, I'm not being superficial at all with him because the things that people hate about him is what I like. My things, and I'm just going to tell you, the things that I have trouble with Trump is the COVID issue, the vaccine issue, and I'm going to tell you another thing, the gun issue.
Can I say something before we get off that? I just want to finish this thought because I'm going to forget it if I don't.
Okay.
When Rebecca had mentioned, my wife, when she had mentioned the fact that, look at Donald Trump's family, look at his kids. You know, it's well known that he has told his children, he says, you know, here's my rules. Number 1, no drugs. Number 2, no alcohol.
Right.
Number 3, no smoking. Let me just ask this question to everyone. What if Joe Biden would have taught his kids that?
No. Well, we wouldn't have the laptop, would we? From hell.
I'm just telling you. What if he would? How has his? And look, I'm not blaming a parent for the mistakes of their children. I'm not saying people don't take me the wrong way. I mean, I've invested a lot of my life into recovery, and there is recovery. And at the end of the day, I hope Hunter Biden finds true recovery and gets clean and gets his life straight. And
I hope he finds Jesus.
That's what I was just fixing to say. I hope he goes so far as he becomes the greatest proponent for the church there is out there. His testimony would be so powerful if he would turn his life around, really. And I'm not even trying to judge the man, but there's some problems going on there. But I just wanted to lay that out of let's compare apples to apples.
Right.
Let's really, if you're going to get that technical with me, about what a person practices, what they promotes. I mean, we have emails that are out there literally incriminating our president. I mean, we're looking at it and we're going, wow, our president has been an ally to China, however you want to look at it. Joe Biden, okay,
Yes,
has been an ally to China. We have emails that incriminate him. And we just had a Supreme Court in the state of Colorado pull Donald Trump's name while they're not even taking a look at Joe Biden. They pulled Donald Trump's name off of the ballot in the state of Colorado.
Well, here's the thing, and I've seen this, but I want to go back to Trump because of the gun issue, and most people don't understand or remember this. But right after he was elected, we had a mass shooting in Las Vegas. And a bump stock was supposedly used.
At a Jason Aldean concert.
Yes. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I had a bump stock. I used it. You couldn't hit anything with it. And they just were not. I mean, they just weren't practical. I'm just going to tell you, they weren't practical.
Right.
So I have some experience with this, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, you're shooting out of a 8 or 10 story window down, supposedly using these bump stocks, and you're having the hitting ratio that you supposedly had. One, I don't believe it, but two,
because it affects the accuracy of the fire.
Absolutely does.
Let me say that. Be clear. Yeah.
But the big thing was the first thing Trump did was sign. He said first, well, we need to get rid of all weapons of war, and he actually said this. You can go look it up on YouTube. And then he went and signed an executive order banning bump stocks, which, by the way, the Supreme Court this year reversed that executive order. So bump stocks are now legal again. So I'm just telling you, I look at it, I read it, and I've talked to numerous people about this. I've read the man's books. You go read the man's books that he wrote, 15, 20 years ago. He was for abortion. He was for gun control. And he was for the homosexual marriage. I mean, you just go read his books. And then I've had people come and say, well, he's changed. Well, and I hope he has. I really hope he has. But that's my biggest issue with him. Now, as far as running the country, as far as putting America first, I have no doubt that the man's heart's in the right place. It's in a lot better place than what Joe Biden's is. I'm just going to tell you. But I'm just not the huge fan because of those things, because of how COVID was and how he handled gun rights. We actually got more gun rights under Obama than we did with Trump.
Oh yeah.
And I hate saying that. I know it's spilling me. It hurts saying that, but it's the truth.
I remember when Barack Obama was elected, I was physically ill.
Yeah.
I remember that 2008. I remember, sitting and watching the results
Hope and
come
change.
Back. And I remember going to bed that night, and Rebecca and I watching the results, and I said, America's changed. Mm-hmm. America has changed, and it has. 2008 has been a marker point for America. You can go back in so many different things through our court system, through finances, even the housing market. You go back through it. 2008 is a marker point for this country. And, what I'm hoping is we have this conversation. I believe there's a lot of people in this county that listening to our voice. There's a lot of people in this state because this gets sent out to some of our friends and they share it.
Yeah.
Even some folks that we know of now in Chattanooga are actually listening to the show. So starting to expand out. It's time to get involved.
Absolutely it is.
If you're frustrated with the process, then you need to be a part of the solution. And we're frustrated. I'm not a Republican because I believe the Republican is the greatest thing that ever happened.
I'm a Christian first. So
absolutely. The Republican Party is a tool that can be used by conservatives to navigate the ship called America.
Right.
In a better direction. Do I believe it's going to solve all problems? Number one, if you get so frustrated because we have problems, then you might as well get over it because we have people, and when you have people, you're always going to have problems.
Amen.
And we have to get over some of this and recognize that's why we get involved, is because we know we're going to have problems. I saw a lot of people get complacent in 2016. Trump was elected. I remember the day Trump was elected. Now, the environment that I was working in at that time, very liberal.
Right.
I get to work, and it was like we had to shut it down in certain circles.
It was like a morgue, wasn't it?
It was, yes. It was very bad.
And
They were mourning like someone had passed away, like they had died.
Oh,
it
yeah.
wasn't that Obama was no longer going to be in office. They were mourning as if Barack Obama had died.
Right.
That was the only way I know how to say it. Like he had
Right.
passed away. And so, but I said, and I remember listening to Phil
Valentine.
Phil Valentine. I want to say Phil Donahue. Phil Valentine. I remember him, and he actually had said on that day, on election day, whenever he was elected, he said, "It's morning in America. We're coming out, not mourning as in we're sad, but mourning as the sun's coming up, and daybreak is just coming out. It feels like the darkness is over." And we had that in 2016.
Right.
We saw a lot happen by 2020, getting into the election cycle. Donald Trump was rolling. There were a lot of people confident he was going to get reelected. COVID happened. And then we saw Joe Biden. Then it went into the January 6th. It went into every kind of train wreck it could have. We have seen in the last 4 years more atrocities to our freedoms in this nation. I believe that if you compiled all of them since the beginning, I believe in 4 years there have been more attacks on our freedom. This is my opinion.
Absolutely.
And I've not sat down and run the numbers. I am that kind of guy that would sit down and put this together. But I believe, because I could just count them off in my head. I can count them off in my head the things that my grandparents, that your grandparents would have never stood for.
No.
Atrocities against our freedoms in this country. I want to encourage people. It's time we get involved.
It's time we get involved because, and I'm going to tell you the main reason why for me, and I hate saying it like this, but judgment's coming.
Fair enough.
And if you don't get involved and you're found wanting when the Lord comes back, it's going to be a hard conversation that you're going to have with Him.
You know, I want to see, when I say get involved, I want to see us do programs like Get Out the Vote in Lawrence County.
Yeah.
And Get Out the Vote is different in a lot of ways. It could be you're giving people rides to the polls.
Right.
It could be you're a poll worker. You know, I hear a lot of people complaining, well, elections aren't fair. Well, let me ask you a question. What are you doing on election day? Where are you at?
That's right.
If you really believed, I'm challenging some folks, and on this radio show, I've challenged people.
Yeah.
I think there are people probably turning this off because I challenge them. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
If that's what they want to do, that's their choice.
Yeah, I'm fine
But
with
I
that.
want to challenge people. If you really and truly believe our elections are unfair, how can you sit there as a grandparent, as a parent, as an aunt or an uncle, and not get involved? So I question the fact that you really believe our election's unfair.
Right.
I question, are you just making a statement and using that for an excuse to not get involved? Because here's where it starts. All politics is local. We can make sure our local elections are fair.
Right.
We can get involved. It's not impossible. If we all go vote, there's a precinct somewhere around your home somewhere. It's not too far away. You're not driving.
Like the one you vote at.
You go to that one,
Yeah.
Get involved there. Did you know you can get paid to be on and get involved enough to where you can actually get paid? I believe the pay, don't quote me on it, I may be wrong, but I believe it's $125 per day to go there and work the polls. Why do we have such a trouble getting people involved where they'll actually get paid to go up there and work and be involved in some of these things? Go get involved.
Yeah.
And for heaven's sake, quit complaining and sitting home. Because I'm telling you, I believe if people really thought, if they really in their heart thought our elections are in trouble, well, what do you want to do? Just wait until we become a communist nation and say, well, we saw it coming, but we didn't want to do anything about it. Or live in regret and say, I wish I'd have done something years ago.
Right.
Okay? We could have changed 2008. People could have stood up and changed 2008. We were 80%, somewhere around 80% conservative Christian in this nation. I mean, but they didn't go vote.
Right.
What if every church went out and voted? What if every conservative went out and voted? And people may say, well, in this county, you may say, well, I'm not going to vote because Trump's going to win anyway. Let me say this to the citizen of this county. If we could turn out to get out the vote, and we raise our numbers of people that go vote, it gets us attention on the state level and on the national level. You know how Trump and how every other DeSantis, Nikki Haley, how these people decide where they're going to go is they look at the voter turnout of that area, and then that's where they go speak. That's where they give their stump speeches. If you want to gain more of your voice on the state level and on the national level, use your voice. It will get attention. If we were to raise the voting numbers up 15, 20% of turnout of vote in this county, we will have governors, people running for governor are definitely going to be coming speaking in Lawrence County.
Oh, absolutely they will be.
I would love to have a debate of our governors, and so people get complacent. Well, we know a Republican's probably going to get elected as governor.
Do we?
Okay, well, probably. There's a high probability of that.
Yeah.
But let's say this. If we have 3 or 4 candidates that run on the primary, why can't we have a debate at Crockett Theater?
So here's the thing, though. I mean, in January 2020, Trump was actually above 50% even on a popularity basis, and we thought there was no way Trump would lose in the election. And look what happened.
Right.
And you know what? I tell you, Brandon, I hate saying this. I don't like beating this dead horse, but Biden went and won Georgia supposedly. I've been in Georgia since the election. I can't tell you that I've ever seen a Biden-Harris sticker on a car yet. I've seen Obama stickers still.
Yeah.
But I have yet to see a Biden-Harris sticker. I mean, I just don't see them. I don't see them in Tennessee either.
Georgia, the state of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, she's as conservative as it gets.
She's conservative as it gets, but you remember, supposedly Donald Trump lost Georgia and Joe Biden won it. Mm-hmm. But where's the support? Where's the bumper stickers? How is it that? And again, I just got through getting. I'm not a Trump fan, but how is it that Trump he can go in a day's time, say I'm coming to this city, and I'm going to speak, and he'll have 30, 40, 50,000 people there at his speech, and Joe Biden can't even get 100 at his speech. And you're going to tell me that, here's the thing, this is crazy, is Donald Trump got more votes than any president that was running for re-election in history.
That's right.
And Joe Biden got millions more votes than Barack Obama. And I'm going to tell you something. Donald Trump was a hell of a lot better candidate than Mitt Romney and John McCain, even.
Agreed.
And you're going to tell me that Joe Biden got, I forget what the number is, but I mean, it's like over 6 or 8 million
they
more
just
votes.
fell in love with Joe Biden's high energy. What can I say?
Again, if they fell in love with him, then why couldn't he get people to his speeches? And why do I not, to this day, see bumper stickers?
Well, I want, and I agree with everything you're saying. And the fact that we mentioned earlier the first part of the show, I'm in Nashville a lot.
Yes.
Okay. I have spent more of my life in Nashville in the last 8 years of my life than I did anywhere else in any other city.
Right.
And I want to tell you something. The people in Nashville, the liberals in Nashville, are not excited about Joe Biden. They're not. I don't think they're going to turn out the vote this time. I don't think they're not going to go vote. They're going to sit home because they don't like Trump, and I think Trump's going to be the nominee. So I'm speaking into the future. It may not happen, but I'm saying as it's projected right now.
As it looks right now. Yes.
It looks like Trump's going to be your nominee. It looks like we're kind of a Trump-Biden rematch. I want to ask people of this county and this state, are you going to sit at home this time as well?
I mean, I can't.
I cannot.
I mean, I haven't either. I mean, I literally, and I could be wrong, so I'm not gonna bet the farm on this, but I believe I've never missed a presidential election. Now, I've missed other elections, but since 1992 was the first year I was able to vote, I've not missed a presidential election.
Well, in 2016, I was really disgusted.
Me and
with
you both
politics.
were. Me and you both.
Okay, Election Day 2016,
Yeah.
I was disgusted.
We actually
Before,
discussed not voting in 2016 even.
That's right. And the Sunday before, and I remember this, I don't know why, I just got this, my memory works this way. I just remember days and times.
Mm-hmm.
But the Sunday before Election Day of 2016, I was just so disgusted with all the politics. I'd seen the Trump statements for the last 20 years, how he was liberal for 20 years, and now he's come out and he said he's conservative.
Right.
I'd seen the same thing. So how
Yes.
could I get fired up about him as a candidate? I just couldn't.
Right.
I'm being honest. I
Yeah,
just could not.
I was the
I was
same
a
way.
Christian, and I thought, I'm not sure he's a Christian. I'm just being honest. I looked at Donald Trump in 2016, and I'm like, where does he stand? His life's been a train wreck, okay? I mean, he's had some serious mistakes he's made. He's got lawsuits. He's got this claim against him, that claim.
But he's got a family that loves him, though.
He got a family that loves him. But I'm going to tell you what happened. On that Sunday, Hillary Clinton did a fundraiser, and it was the rappers Beyonce and Jay-Z. And the things that they had said were so terrible about, I can't repeat it on this radio station.
Right.
I
know
won't
what
do
you're
it.
talking about.
I won't do it. If you want to go find it, go find it. I told you exactly when it was. Go look it up. It was the Sunday before Election Day in 2016. And the things that she said, I don't know how anyone could say they're a Christian and vote for her. I do not know. It was so bad to where I was so disgusted. I thought, you know what? I'm not sure about Donald Trump, but at least he does claim to have faith. At least he does claim to be who I am. And I'm going to have to go. I had to step out on it. And my wife who is 100% for women getting involved, leading in their community, being a God-fearing, leading Proverbs woman. That's my wife. That's what she does. She begged me. She's like, Brandon, we have to go vote. And our daughter, we had made a decision that we could not vote for a woman like Hillary Clinton with the things that were said and done live on television. This is recorded. It's not done in secret. I could not say, this is what I want for my daughter to look as a role model of leadership. And so I'm just putting that out there on the fact that a lot of Christians, and it's because I get pushback, and I'm a Christian, okay?
Yeah.
I am a believer. I'm someone that prays for people. I'm a sinner saved by grace.
Right.
And I see a lot of Christians, and they're pushing back, and they're going, I'm not sure if I'm going to vote for Trump. They're just not excited about Trump. I'm going to tell you what we have to do. We have to take what we can get right now. And let me ask this question. Why are we not seeing religious leaders step up and run? Where are they? If there is somebody better, where are they at? Why are they not putting their name on the ballot?
Well, Brandon, I'm going to tell you something. The reason our country is in the mess that it is in is because our religious leaders haven't been leading for a long time.
Well, I want to finish this thought with this answer. And this is, if you're like me and you're out there and you get frustrated with people saying, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump, he's not a Christian. Look those people in the eye and ask them this question. Well, then who do you want to run? And look them straight in the eye and say, who do you want to run? And make them answer the question.
Right.
Not just, well, somebody better than Trump. We've all heard that. No, I'm asking you, if you don't want Trump, who do you want?
Right.
And make them answer the question. Because here's what we can do. We can go compel them to run. But my thing is, I don't see anyone willing to step out there for the FBI investigation.
Absolutely. I was going to say, why would you want to do it when they're turning our own government against you?
I saw people scared to go to our state capitol in August of 2023 because of what happened on January 6th.
I know. They even told us that.
I saw it. I witnessed
We heard it. Not just saw it. We heard it.
I was attacked.
Yes,
by
me and you both.
Republicans
Me and you both
for
were.
going. So
Yes.
let me say this for those of you that are disgusted with the Republican Party. We are too.
Yeah, we are.
But we're not going to stand aside and let this be derailed as well.
So I'm about to step on toes, and I'm about to get on really, really thin ice.
I thought we were already stepping on toes.
No, I'm about to get on thin ice here.
Thin ice.
Thin ice.
Okay.
Okay?
I hear it cracking.
Yes, especially when you're fat as I am. So for me to get on thin ice, that's saying something.
You take those sunglasses off, you'll weigh 3 pounds less.
So I'm just going to put it out there. You mentioned, about, okay, well, if you're a Christian and you can't vote for Trump because of who he is, I'm going to turn the tables, and I'm going to tell you this. If you vote Democrat, and you've heard me tell you this before, if you vote Democrat, there's no way you can be a Christian. I'm going to put it out there because if you agree with a platform that is for the murdering of children, if you agree with a platform that it's okay for a man to marry a man, a woman to marry a woman, it is okay to take a 10 or 12-year-old child and change their sexual identity. You are for even grooming them. You are for our children being groomed by Drag Queen Story Hour. You need to go read your Bible, and you need to get down on your knees and you need to pray, because you cannot look at the Democratic platform and say, just because they're Democrat, I'm going to vote that way. That is not Christian. And I'm going to tell you something. If the Democratic Party was against these things, like the Republican Party, some of the Republican Party is, at least the platform, okay? But I'm sick of the Republicans too. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, because a lot of them have no backbone, and they're going to say whatever they can say to get along. But I'm telling you right now, you cannot claim to be a Christian and vote Democratic and agree with that platform. Period, end of story. The problem with the Republican Party, let me tell you the problem with the Republican Party is, you and I both have read the Republican Party platform, and we can agree with that. Okay, we've actually read the Democratic platform. Okay, our problem is the Republicans that we have running, and a lot of them that are in office, don't follow their own platform that they ran for.
Right.
So, I'm sorry to beat a dead horse, but I don't care. I honestly don't care, because I would rather scare you into heaven than to flatter you into hell. Okay? Yeah. But if you sit here and say that you're a Christian and you vote Democratic, I'm sorry, you are not. You need to go read your Bible, and you need to see what God says. And do not think that elections do not have consequences, because they do. And they even have consequences with God himself.
Well, I want to see us have a large turnout for a primary that's coming up.
Yeah.
We've got a primary coming up. We're going to be talking about that more as we go. Hopefully we get some of the candidates in here, get them on the show. I know we're coming into a holiday week. This is basically a holiday week. Next 2 weeks are going to be holiday weeks. Mm-hmm. But as we're going into the new year, we're going to be talking about this primary coming up. And I want to encourage Christians. And if I've made someone mad, it wasn't my goal. But if I've motivated you, that was my goal.
Right.
If I woke you up, if I jarred you a little bit, got your eyes open to some things, get you thinking, setting out right now as a Christian voter and setting these election cycles out is actually, it's going to be detrimental to the Christian faith. Okay? Now, I'm just saying that. I really believe it. I'm here tonight. I could be doing other things. I could be with my family.
Amen.
I could be earning a living. I could be just at home, just watching the fish jump out back in the lake. But I'm not. I'm actually out here. I'm involved. I'm not doing anything that I'm not going to expect something of others that I'm not willing to do myself. So I want to encourage people. Our next meeting is going to be on January the 23rd at the Lawrence County Courthouse. Please come out and join us.
Please.
Come out and check it out. Maybe I don't care if you voted Democrat all your life and you're 75 years old. I'm not mad at you.
Nope.
I don't care if you've never voted in your life. I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to go around and condemn you. What I want to say is it's time to jump in. Maybe you're not a registered voter. Come talk to us. We can help you register to vote. It takes just a few minutes. We've helped a lot of folks get registered to vote. If you need to know that, come talk to us. We'll help you get set up before this primary. We want you voting in a primary. I want to encourage Lawrence County. If you're a Christian, don't set this one out. Come vote.
That's right.
Come vote in this primary that's coming up. We can take things back, and we can be leaders in this state if we get active. If they watch those numbers, active voters move up, then we're going to get our elected officials here. And I promise this, if I'm serving as the chairman of the Lawrence County Republican Party, or if I'm just working in a community center, I'm going to be pushing to get our leaders of this state and of this nation involved in the Republican Party and in the state of Tennessee, and also pull them into the county, our county, Lawrence County. Okay? So, I don't know.
You don't know? Well, I can tell you.
I don't know how to convince people. If they're not convinced at this point.
You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink, number one. Okay? I'm just going to tell you that. And it's unfortunate. But I don't condemn them, because you know what? Me and you were the same way up until a couple of years ago.
Sure.
You know, a lot of people don't understand, but the very first Republican Party meeting you ever attended was March of 2022.
That's right.
Okay. The first one I ever attended was May of 2022 because it took you 2 months to convince me to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I want nothing to do with
Folks,
this.
I have drugged Lawrence kicking and screaming.
Over a lot
And
of
now
things.
he's here, and he's still just kicking and screaming. There it is. People have been waiting on it the whole time we've been here. I got him. I did. So he's still kicking and screaming. But you know what? The reason why I wanted to get you involved is because I knew you would be vocal about your opinion. And I'm
an
people to-
expert at my own opinion.
You are an expert at it.
Yep.
And so I want people to get involved when they're vocal about their opinion. I want to hear it. Actually, you know me. I want to hear the other side. I want to hear the left.
You do.
Tell me.
It drives me nuts how you can handle it. I mean, I can't handle it.
Standing invitation to Democrats in Lawrence County or state of Tennessee. If you want to come get in this chair, you can sit over there at that microphone, and I will give you the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
But be prepared to defend your thoughts, your beliefs, and the way you vote.
Right.
And the reason that chair is empty right now is they can't.
I know. We've invited some.
That's exactly right.
I mean, it's not like we haven't invited. Matter of fact, it would make great radio.
Someone just texted me just now, and they said, "Well, I'm not going to say who it is, but they had voted Democrat. They're a converted Democrat.
Okay.
So you condemned me for voting Democrat, and they're trying to make a joke, and I have.
Oh yeah. No, I don't want to condemn anybody.
No.
I mean, we got 30 seconds left. I want to make this point. I have in the past a couple of times on different elections.
Confession is coming.
Confession is coming. I have had to vote Democrat.
Oh Lord.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you this, and I'm just putting it out there. The Democratic Party.
This is WDXE 287 AA.
10 years ago, even.
Amen. God bless America. God bless Lawrence County.
God bless everybody. Have a good one.
I think a mutual parting